Hey, what's good, fam? Jorge Manuel here once again, and today I got yet another LD waffle, but this time it is the CLOT version. As y'all know, I recently dropped a Sacai and Fragment collaboration video a couple days ago. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I have been pretty lucky with these Sacai and Nike collaborations, and this is yet another one that I've been pretty lucky to win. Today, the gray version of those Fragment Sacai's dropped, and unfortunately I didn't get those. Those are the ones I really wanted. Those were my favorite of these last recent 3 LD waffles that have dropped. And again, I can't really complain because I've gotten 2 out of the last 3, so that is already very lucky in itself, so no complaints here. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about this sneaker real quick. This one dropped on the Nike sneakers app a couple days ago, and it dropped last week on the Juice app. So if you're not familiar with the Juice app, it is an app that is affiliated with CLOT, the brand CLOT. So if you're interested in any CLOT collaborations in the future, definitely download that app. Before we move on any further, do me a favor and like the video if you're getting anything out of it. And if you're not part of the family yet, all it takes is one click down there, just one time to help me grow this channel. I'd really appreciate it. Now, before we unbox this sneaker, let's go ahead and take a quick in-hand look and get a little bit more familiar with the sneaker before we move forward, and we'll come back shortly. Alright, we're back. So for those of you that don't know, this sneaker got its inspiration from a recent CLOT and Nike collaboration, and let's take a quick look at that. So here is the Nike Air Max 1 CLOT, a very classic shoe, one that was very sought after back in the day, just because it's such a unique shoe. A bunch of really nice, cool little details on this sneaker. Some details that I look forward to finding on this LD waffle, although there might be some differences. But This one was very limited back in the day and very sought after, and this time when it retroed again, it was dropped in large numbers that the demand for it went way down. And maybe not necessarily, maybe it's not necessarily that the demand went down, but the supply definitely went up. So you see that the prices on these are well below retail. Right now they might be climbing up a little bit, but still a pretty good buy in my opinion. If you're interested in the shoe, definitely go out and look for it. You're not going to pay more than $150 for this sneaker, so a buy for sure in my opinion. And I wish I would have waited and bought them at a discount, but you never know with these things. So let's go ahead and unbox this sneaker and see if we can find any of the similar details that we see on this very cool Air Max 1 clot on this LD waffle. All right, here we go. All right, ladies and gents, there is your box. As mentioned in the previous video, this is the classic Nike Sacai collaboration box. Nothing special, nothing unique to CLOT. One thing to note though, when I just showed you those Air Max 1s that are of the CLOT version, those you had to size down on. I don't anticipate that that's what you have to do here, but we'll talk about that as soon as towards the end of the video actually. We'll see what sizing is like. Okay, so here's one difference that I didn't see in those fragment collaborations. So that shoe paper is definitely the CLOT branding shoe paper. And the fragment version, I didn't see the shoe paper any different from any of the previous Sacai's. So one unique thing there. But here it is, ladies and gents. The Nike Sacai CLOT LD waffle. Dope shoe, right? So as far as the materials that we see on that Nike Air Max 1, I think that the suede is definitely a little bit more premium on that Air Max 1, although it's still pretty nice on here. One thing that I really like off top is that gum bottom. So definitely a huge plus for me. I love gum bottom shoes, and this is no exception. Another thing that we note is that in those Air Max 1s, the toe box here, on those Air Max 1s, it's plastic, and on here it seems like it could be plastic, but it's a different type of plastic. It's much thinner, it's more mesh-like, but it still seems like it's plastic. So I'll show y'all some close-ups so you guys can take a look. To me, it's plastic that I would anticipate being a little bit more comfortable. It is translucent like the previous version of the Air Max 1, but aside from that, not too many differences when it comes to that fragment LD waffle. So I'm not going to go ahead and go into any more detail. If you want a little bit more detail, go into my last video, watch that. But another difference that I see between the last version of the LD waffles and I guess all the versions prior to the fragments is, and I mentioned this in my previous video, that we see that outsole. Actually, after really taking a good look into the details of this sneaker, you see that it's actually a dual midsole and then that little thin outsole that is the gum bottom. In the past, when you've seen these LD waffles, the dual midsoles have been the same color, and in the fragment version was the first one that I saw that had a different colored dual midsole. So the bottom midsole matched that upper, and that middle midsole has always been white. You've never seen anything different, I don't believe. And in this version, you got two different colored dual midsoles, which is definitely a positive in my opinion. I always like the little differences when we have so many similar drops. Those little details make such a huge difference, and I definitely do enjoy that. Now, I'm gonna stop talking. I just again dropped a video of LD waffle a couple days ago, so so I'm not gonna bore y'all with too many of the details. So let's go ahead and stop here. We're gonna lace these up. They got two laces, so I'm gonna give you a look at both of them and see how they look individually. I'm not a big fan of the double laces, so we're gonna do both of them individually, give you shots of those. But let's go ahead and go on to that. We'll come back, talk about sizing, and close this video out. Alright y'all, a dope sneaker. I think I'm gonna keep those blue fragments, and I'm gonna see if I can get a trade for these in order to get those gray fragments, because I really do like those better than these. As I mentioned in that previous video, what I do like about that fragment collaboration is that they're very simple. I'm not a huge fan of those sneakers that are a little bit out there, and this CLOT is definitely one of those. Although I do really like that Air Max version. With this one, for me personally, it's a little bit much, so I'm going to be looking to trade these for those gray fragments, and it's going to be better that I do it sooner rather than later, because I believe that those fragments are going to get way up there in price, especially when compared to these. I think these will stay pretty stagnant for a while, and maybe in a year or two you'll see them rise. At least for the foreseeable future, these are going to stay in the $250, definitely under the $300 mark. That is my opinion. Please don't kill me in the comments. I have had some previous videos where I've made some predictions that didn't come to fruition, and some people had some things to say. What I'm telling you is what I know from experience, so they don't always come out to be true, but I'd like to think that generally I know what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and close this out. Sizing is right on point with the last sneaker and all the previous LD waffles, which is true to size. Stick to true to size. If you're a little bit of a wide footer, then maybe go a little bit bigger, but in terms of length, it's definitely true to size. All right, let's go ahead and close this out. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.